Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Chris. I'm back with another one. This one's going to be a little bit of a longer format because I want to cover some major issues that are going on. I'm going to say this now and I'm warning everybody up front. It's going to be politics based. So it's going to be about a lot of political stuff, a lot of stuff that I don't normally talk about on here because I don't want like my comment section and stuff to become like a bunch of hate speech and all this other shit. I'm not down with that. You should be able to have a discussion about these things like a rational fucking adult. So I expect that to be the case. It probably won't be because of the way our discourse is going, which is part of the problem that I'm going to discuss today. So the first thing I want to delve into um, is Donald Trump had a rally last night. The same rally he's had since he lost the election. Basically, him bitching and crying about the fact that it was stolen from him. And at this point, it's like, dude, it's been well over a year. You lost in November of 2020. It is now January 2022. We're coming up on the year to when Joe Biden was inaugurated. And we're over a year since the January 6th storming the Capitol, insurrection, domestic terrorist attack, whatever you want to call it. It can now be called sedition because people have been charged with that. I'm going to get to that in a second, too. But it's been over a year since all this, and he's still going on about it. Like, Hillary Clinton didn't act like this. She accepted her loss. She congratulated him, conceded, and moved on to go out to a cabin in the woods and has come out to say a couple things here and there about the state of the party, but for the most part, she shut the fuck up. Al Gore went into environmental issues and shut the fuck up. Mitt Romney conceded, classy, went into the Senate. After a couple of years, John McCain went back to the Senate, conceded, did the right thing. Al Gore conceded, by the way. The only one who hasn't ever said, yeah, I fucking lost is Donald Trump. He still hasn't admitted that he lost. But he did. 81,000 people voted him out of office. He lost in the Electoral College, which I'm going to delve into something that came out this week about that and the potential huge problem there in a second. But this man's still going on about a year ago. Like, this shit happened a year ago. He lost over a year ago. It's over. And the reason he's still going on about it is because there are a lot of dumb motherfuckers that still buy in that he didn't lose. And it's like, I don't know what reality you're living in. Like, he lost. One of the best speeches that Biden has given in his presidency was his speech on January 6th, where he basically finally said enough and said, yo, for real, like, motherfucker, you lost. You weren't just a former president, you're a defeated president. Like, fuck you, you lost, I won. You can't admit that you lost. For some reason, you don't have the capability to admit that you lost. But you did. You lose. Good day, sir. He basically said that. He was much more forceful about it than I'm being. I'm kind of playing it for laughs because he was pissed. And I was like, damn, he's angry. And it's like, good. He should be angry. This has been going on for over a year now. People tell him he's an illegitimate president, and he's not. He's a legitimate president. But on that front, so it's like this dude's gonna keep doing this until like he finally gets arrested for like crimes he committed and the insurrection that happened at the Capitol. Whenever that day does come, Garland, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, what are you waiting for? You have evidence. And then this is what I'm getting to, and here's where I'm gonna get to that. So right before like they certified the election results for the various states that were. There were 7 states where the Republican Party in those states, led by Mark Meadows, which has come out, and this has been proven, they tried to forge electoral documents saying that Donald Trump actually won and tried to sneak them in and submit them in like 7 states: New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. I think, did I mention all 7 there? Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. I think that's all 7. I think I covered all of them. That's all 7 states. Now, all the documents for these states look very different. They don't look the same. They have different like symbols and seals and stuff. The official documents look different in every state. The documents that they tried to the forgeries they created are all on identical papers. Like they got them at Kinko's or some shit. The same font, spacing, and everything. It's the same paper. And they tried to turn these in. In Michigan, it's especially funny what happened because they tried to go in and sneak the document in while the electors were already in doing their job. They tried to sneak it through a side door. Security called them like, what the fuck are you doing here? They're like, oh, we have the official documents here for the election, the electoral thing. And it's like, really? Because they're already in here. What the fuck is this? I'm going to take this paperwork from you. Thanks. I'm going to take this and y'all can get the fuck out of here. So, and they're on camera. Like, this is on camera because they filmed themselves doing it, which is even dumber. Like, they filmed themselves doing it. So it's on camera, them trying to get in and them getting blocked and stopped and everything. And they signed the paperwork. All the people involved signed everything. So we know who they are. We know what they did. And we know who led the charge to do it. Add to this, Peter Navarro snitching on himself and Steve Bannon last week, where they talked about what they call the Green Bay sweep, where they're like, yeah, we had 100 senators and representatives prepared to kind of block this whole thing and send it back to the states, which would have thrown everything into chaos, and it would have probably worked or delayed the election results and thrown everything into kind of doubt, right up until, like, they stormed the fucking Capitol and tried to kill people. To hang Mike Pence. Because Trump ginned him up. Shit would have worked. And it, like, he said this on television and people are just like, wait, what? Like, this would have been, if you don't realize what they were going to do. The plan was to get enough senators and representatives to say no and not validate the election, at which point it gets kicked back to the states. The states do a review of everything, but it throws everything into kind of chaos for a little bit. Ultimately, it wouldn't have worked because the results wouldn't have changed. Or they could have snuck in their own electors like they tried to, and it would have worked and it could have changed everything. We don't know. We know Ted Cruz started it in the Senate, and Paul Gosar started it in the House. So there was a possibility that they had already begun this plan, and then the insurrection happened, and it kind of threw everything off. And it's like, well, that would have worked, but then like he even said like we didn't need the riot to happen. What the fuck? We didn't need that. We already had it in the bag. We had the plan being executed in both houses of Congress that day, thanks to these people. And we had 100 people on board ready to do it. We had this. And then they did what they did. They stormed the Capitol. Everything got thrown off. And it pissed off enough people to throw it off. And it didn't happen. So our democracy almost fell on January 6th in multiple ways. Multiple ways this almost happened. And you know, it's it goes back to what Bob Seska always says. What up, Bob? Love you, man. I love the show. Trump always makes things worse for Trump. And he did. He could have, if he sat back, didn't gin up this mob to go to the Capitol and start fighting like they did, doing what they did, everything that they planned may have worked. And it may have killed democracy in America. But it didn't. Thankfully, because people were bamboozled into doing his dirty work for him. And another thing that we found out this past couple weeks is that Stephanie Grisham kind of went and testified to the January 6th committee. And she basically said, dude, Trump was sitting there watching the entire time. Like, look at these people fighting for me. This is great. Rewinding stuff and watching it over and over again while people are texting him like, dude, what the fuck? You got to get on TV and stop this. You got to get on TV and stop this. Like Fox News personalities, his own son, like texting Mark Meadows, like, dude, what the fuck? You got to stop this. You have to stop this. This is bad. This is bad. Tell him to get on TV and stop it. You're just undermining everything. What the fuck? And so, like, it just caused all this shit. Yeah, democracy. It's in a bad state right now in this country. It really is. And you have like Joe Manchin and Christian Sinema basically siding with the Republican Party to not allow people the right to vote, to not support voting rights in this country. Among other things they don't support, but voting rights being the big one that they just fucked us on. Sinema in particular, because she gave some speech where it's like, I just can't vote if, like, we can't get 60 people to vote for it. I'm not going to vote for it. And it's like, you only need 51, dumbass. We have to break the filibuster. Change the filibuster. Like, I get it. You don't want to boss the filibuster. And that's fine. You know what? Don't abolish the filibuster. What you do is change it to what it was before Mitch McConnell changed it to where if somebody gets up and says something, it's automatically 60 votes. What you did back in the day, it was a standing filibuster. Anybody ever see the movie Mr. Smith Goes to Washington? Where Mr. Smith gets up and he speaks for hours? That's what a standing filibuster is. They have the same procedure in the House. Kevin McCarthy just did that shit a month ago, and he spoke for 12 hours saying absolutely jack shit. But he spoke for 12 hours just delaying something, and it still went on like, okay, are you done? Cool. We're going to vote for this now. All in favor? Yeah, us. All against? Us. The yays win. We're voting on this. There we go. And that's how it worked in the Senate until the rules got changed. You don't have to kill the filibuster altogether. You just make it what it was again. That's what needs to happen. You need to get people to stand up. If you oppose voting rights, get up and explain why you oppose it. If you oppose Build Back Better, get up and state your case as to why you oppose it. If you're against something, you should have to explain why. And you should have to explain it to the American people publicly, not just behind some fucking docket or behind the scenes somewhere. You should have to literally get up and make your case to the American people, because that's what happens in a democracy. You represent us. Politicians represent us. They're supposed to work for us. Not for corporations, not for big business, not for big pharma. They work for us. They're supposed to represent the people who send them as such. So if I have a representative that's not doing what I want them to do or what I like them to do, I want them to explain to me and to anyone else who feels the way I do why they feel the way they feel and why they're voting against something, especially something as important as voting rights. Um, so that's what I've got today. I know this is a little bit heavier topic than my usual comic book movie stuff and all that, but this is something that's important, and it's something that the story about the ballots or the electoral forgeries I haven't seen too many places, and that's especially something that should be out there because that's a direct attack on our democracy. And I always grew up. I was raised by two parents who always told me, to if you don't know, you need to know. So you can make the best decision you can make. I'm just putting information out there. What you do with it is what you do with it. If you come at me with some like I'm a communist or I'm like a dirty liberal, yeah, I am a liberal. I'm actually more progressive, democratic, socialist than anything else. But yeah, I'm left leaning. But if I feel like my party is not doing what they need to do, I'm gonna tell you that. And I'm gonna give you an example of that right now, actually. um I think a lot of the things that like they put Kamala Harris out, Vice President Harris out on TV the other day to talk about like the handling of COVID by the administration, and she was ill prepared for it. She couldn't answer a question about there's an idea about getting those N95 masks or KN95 masks out to the American people, every person in America, just sending them out in the mail for free. And it's like, well, when's it supposed to happen? This week. And the report's like that's on what we heard. And it's like, well, we're still working on it, and she wasn't ready for it. And you're the vice president. You should know this shit. Like, you should be in the loop on this. If you're not, you shouldn't be on TV talking about it. Like, quite frankly, she dropped the ball there. As vice president and the scrutiny you're under, a scrutiny under that he's under. Because there's some things he's botched too. Like, he should have done that sooner than they're doing now. The opportunity was there to do it sooner, and he didn't do it because he didn't think anyone would use him. And it's like, who gives a fuck? You send them out anyway. You send them out anyway, and if people don't use them, they don't use them, but you give them the opportunity to make the choice for themselves. But you send out the masks because you have a highly infectious disease out there that people who did the right thing, like myself, who got vaccinated, who got boosted, still caught this because it's highly contagious. And the best mask to wear for that is the N95 or KN95. So yeah, they should have sent those out sooner. And the fact that they didn't, that's a dropping of the ball on the administration. And they didn't handle that right. Told you, I may be liberal, but I'm fair. For example, my governor here in Maryland, where I live, is a Republican. Larry Hogan. He ruffled a lot of feathers because he butted heads with Trump's during his time in office at the end about COVID. Larry Hogan did what needed to be done in this state to save lives. Point blank, period. They weren't easy decisions. He caught hell for it from all sides. He caught hell from Baltimore City because his things were too strict or not strict enough. He caught hell from like places like where I live in Arundel County because they were too strict. But he did the best thing that he could do to keep Marylanders safe. And even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Republican Party, he's one of the people I am a fan of. But because he put people over party. And he put the people of this state above the politics of it all. That's not always easy to do, but he did it. So, and I respect him for that. So, I'm able to call it fair. Despite my political leanings and where I stand on the political spectrum, I promise you that when I do talk about this stuff, I will be fair. And I will be honest in my opinion on that because I owe that to you guys out there to give you the truth or my honest opinion. And I promise you that no matter when I go into those issues, you will always get that from me. I promise you. You may not like what I say, you may not agree with it, but it's going to be the truth on how I feel about it. And that I promise you. I owe the 5 or 6 you that watch these videos nothing less than my honest opinion. You're taking time to take a look at what I think or feel about something. I owe you my unbridled honesty and my unbridled opinion on something, and I will give that to you. I promise. That is my bond to you, the viewers. That is a contract that I have with you, the viewers. And I will not break that. And where I'm from, where I grew up, that word is a bond. It's like your balls, and you don't break them for anybody. So, to anybody watching this, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Thank you for taking like 20 something minutes out of your day to take a look at what I think about anything, let alone this topic. I appreciate you. Stay safe, stay well, take care of yourself, take care of each other. I say it every video and I will say it continually. If you're not vaccinated, go get vaccinated. Wear a mask. Protect not just yourself, but everybody else around you. Because that matters. Your life matters. And so do the lives of everyone else around you. Peace.